When I'm not feeling extra frisky and backing in to parking lot spaces, I like to answer questions that I get on YouTube, so let's get to it. How important is a blues face? Example, John Mayer. First of all, I absolutely love John Mayer's face when it looks like he's kind of like captured the tail of the dragon and just can't let go and hanging on for dear life. Like, it's the absolute best. And it's just fantastic. But as far as like actually having a blues face, where it seems like you're doing something harder than you are, I used to not be into it, but the more I play out, the more it makes a big difference. Where if you make it seem like what you're doing is difficult, people watching you that don't really know anything about guitar will just be along for the ride. Like if you're just doing something like, they'll be like, okay, whatever. But if you're like really feeling it, they'll react to that. So I think it's probably somewhat important to have a decent blues face. Now, what I think is super badass is if you're like really doing some like next level shredding and then you just stay completely stone-faced the whole time. I think that's actually probably like the pinnacle of it. But, you know, experiment with blues face. I think definitely you want to do it at a bend to kind of like mirror what's happening with your neck, actually. So, again, I'm kind of new to a blues face, so I'll be giving you more tips along the way. But I do think it's something that is absolutely musically valid and something that you should probably look into. Stop talking so much, wasting my time, idiot. I've got a lot of salty blues comments lately that are specifically asking me to quit talking. Like in a lot of the instructional videos, there have to be words, people. I can't just, it's hard to explain things without using words, so the words are gonna keep coming, you're just gonna have to deal with it. Hey, this was too fast for anyone to learn anything. I play the guitar and piano in 12 scales every day, and this was ridiculous. So we have a salty elitist piano / guitar player who plays 12 scales every day. I don't know. It's fantastic. I just love it. Keep them coming. Do you adjust your levels of bronze spray tan to match the color tone of the acoustic guitar that you're playing at the time? What I actually do is I use the spray tan on myself first, and then I just spray the acoustic guitar second, because as you all know, the production value is really top-notch around here. If you had someone who had no singing experience, what tips would you give them to improve their voice? So there's a lot of things that you can do to kind of improve your voice. Number one, just make sure it's just an instrument like everything else. You just have to find out where your pitch is. It's great to match pitch on piano, sing along with a major scale, something like that. There's a ton of other YouTube channels that do singing lessons way better than I could ever do it. But the best advice I could give anybody who isn't like naturally a great singer that wants to become a singer is to not give a F about what anybody else says about your voice. Anybody can sing, anybody can do it. I think that singing more than anything that I've like seen, experienced, people will hate on bad singers way more. Now here's the thing, if you're not really a great singer yet, just know that you have to put the practice in, but don't act like you're like, you know, the end all be all, because that's just really gonna go off really poorly for you. But, you know, if you just kind of like approach it just like any musical instrument, you can totally do it. I think it sucks that people kind of will shoehorn certain type of singers. Some of my favorite singers ever are people with more like character voices or whatever. They might not have like traditionally great voices, but just know that you can just go out and do it. You know, it's just, again, there are so many different types of tones, and I think that's what's really cool is that what makes your voice unique is what's gonna make you stand out. So really just kind of like learn to love your own voice, practice it, do like scale runs and stuff like that, try to get your pitch right, be able to record yourself where you can kind of hear it back and chart your improvement over time. And eventually anybody can be like at least a serviceable singer. Now that doesn't mean you're going to be like, you know, Freddie Mercury or whatever, but that's fine because Freddie Mercury is Freddie Mercury. Just try to get your own voice to be the absolute best that it can, and don't listen to any haters out there because most of the time they're just kind of like projecting, you know, their own negative things on it. So just sing away and rock on. Also next week, I'd like to know your thoughts on the best female vocalist in all of music today. I think that Florence Welch is untouchable in this category. Her range is unparalleled. Yeah, so Florence of Florence and the Machine is pretty awesome. Now the best actual female vocalist I've ever heard live was Sarah Bareilles, which again, you guys know I'm not like a huge pop fan, but Sarah Bareilles is absolutely like flawless live, and you know, she's gone on to do a lot of different things. And her voice is just awesome, and she just like nailed it. So that's actually probably the best live vocalist I've ever really heard as far as just being on point, incredible dynamic range. And again, when it comes to evaluating singers, it's more like who's like your favorite female vocalist versus like who's like the best. Like the best is like, I don't even really totally know what that means. My favorite female vocalist will probably always be Fiona Apple, but I'm gonna give Sarah Bareilles, you know, the best by, I guess, what I'm thinking of currently. What are your thoughts on the new A Perfect Circle song, So Long and Thanks for All the Fish? Definitely sounds different, but for some reason I really like it. Maybe it's the way the song sounds happy, major key, and the lyrics are kind of dark but catchy. Check out the Rockers Record interview with Maynard. Started about 2:30, gives a little insight about the song. So yeah, new Perfect Circle album came out finally. I was listening to it the other day in my car, and it was almost like a surreal experience because I was not adequately prepared to hear new A Perfect Circle music, which is going to be the same way when eventually I hear the new Tool thing. It was weird. I can't believe I'm listening to it. It's been decades that I've been waiting, and here it is. So I don't even think I'm in the right frame of mind to really categorize what I think about it yet, other than it sounds like A Perfect Circle, and it's pretty good. Now, the specific song that is mentioned in the comment, which also to that interview, if you're interested, I'll link it below too, was kind of jarring to hear at first because that one came out before the actual album came out. So if you just click on that, it almost sounds kind of like pop punk at the beginning, and it is super happy. And I was like, what the hell is this? And I totally did not like it the first time I heard it. Then, whatever, a few days later, a week later, when the album came out, I listened to it, and in the context of the album, it sounds totally different because they just kind of take you on like this journey. And it just kind of goes to show that a lot of songs, it's so contextual in how you perceive them. In fact, like this one, again, because it was so happy and because I hadn't really heard a lot of Perfect Circle in a while, I was just kind of like thrown off by it a little bit, I suppose. But definitely check out the new Perfect Circle record. In fact, for listening homework, I'm gonna link you to one of the ones that's been out previously, but I think it's such a good song. I love the band. It's got an awesome sound. It's so cool that it is kind of like Tool in some ways, just because it can't not be with Maynard, but the drumming is so different in still such an awesome way. Again, I think Danny Carey's like the greatest drummer of all time, but the drums in Perfect Circle, the production quality sound fantastic. I'm a huge fan. Check it out. Any comments or questions you have, hit me up in the comment section, Instagram, Twitter, or the website, and I'll talk to you all soon. Thanks a lot.